Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another episode of The Blacksmith Furnace with me, Robert.
With me, Pete.
Man like Mo, full furnace. We out here. Yeah.
Happy Easter! Happy Easter!
Hey.
Hey, can I get something out of the way real quick?
Okay.
We both, Rob, you and I managed to forget that last Tuesday was Mo's birthday.
Huh?
Pagans.
I said today, oh yeah, your birthday's coming up, innit? And he's like,
Wait, I thought it was in April.
What month are we in, bro?
I thought it was April 21st.
11th,
they're
bro.
10 days late. I thought it was coming. I was confident it was coming. But alas,
Hold on.
we're a couple days late.
Yeah.
Oh, flip!
So,
Do you know what, yeah?
belated happy birthday, man.
When today in the church WhatsApp group, I saw Warren's birthday, man's like, you man are pagans. I was like, you man are pagans.
The whole chat was silent during your birthday. And I actually spoke to Mo as well. I spoke to him about something else completely.
Oh, that's the worst.
That is the worst.
Yeah, but do you know what? It's calm. Cause I was like I was proper like I was mindful of it, but at the same time I was like, it is what it is. Unless, cause like both of your birthdays, Drea had a thing up for you, and I was like, oh yeah, shout out Robert. And then with Peter, obviously the party and everything's there, so I had it at the back of my mind. So yeah. So obviously, if it wasn't for other things, I would have forgotten as well. And the peakest thing is, yeah, even one of my sisters didn't wish me happy birthday. So I was just like, it is what it is.
In my defense, I knew it was coming. Like, I legit knew it's this month, it's soon.
Do you know the funniest thing is, yeah?
I legit thought it was the 21st, so I was gearing myself off.
I saw Gelade on the Tuesday because we went Rich Mix. And then Jems was like, so what did you get him for his birthday? And Gelade was like, it's not his birthday. I was like, bro, you can't tell me when my own birthday is. So he took out his phone and it was like, bro, I've saved your birthday on my phone. He opened his calendar, Mo's birthday.
Yeah. Same thing. I said it, and Mo was like, yeah, it was 2 days ago. I was like, what? Check my calendar, and Moses' birthday. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So, belated happy birthday, man.
So good, man.
Yeah.
37?
Man said 37.
Is that your genuine guess?
You say guest?
No, sorry, is that your genuine guess? Or
No,
37?
This
No,
guy
I
is
think 34.
aging me for no reason.
34.
I said 34. I said 34, bro.
It's 34.
I said 34. Man's two. You're 92, right?
91.
91. Okay, I'm 2 years older than you. We're both 2 years older than you.
It's a child.
Fam. When Taz was saying she's 28, yeah? When Taz says she's 28, I was like, oh, you're still young.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Anyway.
go back to being 27, man.
Bro, I remember when I was telling Mandem I'm 18.
There's no difference, really. Apart from we recovered quicker. That was all.
Fam. And the facial hair.
Question: if you could go back in time and tell your younger self to buy Bitcoin, would you do it? Or would you just leave life to continue being?
Answer, it depends on when. If it's early Bitcoin, yeah. Buy that and then save the password. If it's last year, no.
Last year Bitcoin was at 64k. Now it's dwindled.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I was back in uni days, then most def.
Yeah.
I would have told myself to even mine. Like,
Well,
just
that's the
bang on
thing. Back
mining
then, it was
situation.
like, oh, should we even mine some?
Yeah.
Get a mind a few.
I would have mined the thing back then, just sit on it. But again, I would have to clue myself up on security for Bitcoin. Tell me how I read this tweet about someone running up. Let me see if I can get a woman went over to a guy's house for a one night stand, and in the morning robbed the guy of everything, and took his Bitcoin. So I was like, yo, how are you gonna steal Bitcoin? Let me get the thing.
Was it on a hard drive?
And they were like, nah, she took his physical wallet. The physical link wallet thing.
oh, it's like
So there's
crypto.com sort type thing. Oh,
no, so it's you can have physical wallets where the keys for your digital wallet are stored in a physical wallet. So before you can get into your digital wallet, you need to physically access it, and then it unlocks the digital wallet. But there's like backup codes that it sends you.
mad.
And yeah, the girl took his physical wallet. Took the physical wallet. So yeah, like he was vexed, and apparently he was sitting on peas. And I definitely would have told myself to jump on Bitcoin, because them times there was a lot more loopholes around getting the money out. It wasn't as mainstream as it is now, where it's being regulated. So I could have sold it and got the money back much easier without paying tax. But now that what's it? HMRC will be on you, boy.
Yeah.
Is there a reason you guys didn't get into like cryptocurrency in the beginning? We just didn't trust it.
I didn't really know about it.
It was too new. I heard about it. Like I was considering mining. I was legit considering mining, because it was like just basic computers that you could use to mine. There wasn't as much competition, as it were. So mining was just whoever wants to get into. So I was like, oh, should I? But I think I don't know. It was nothing. It just was too new. It was too novel. We didn't know where it was going. The other things are hindsight, isn't it? That's the point. You know?
I didn't really know about it. So yeah, even if I said yes, I'd be lying.
Yeah. And that's.
Oh well. Oh, sorry. 1 second. Something's falling. It's gonna break. 1 second.
We can slag him off now. He's not gonna hear us.
I think we're on loudspeaker. I don't think Robert has the discipline
capacity to use headphones.
Let's put us on loudspeaker and then creates an echo for no reason. Oh no, he's back.
Oh
yeah, Robert.
I can use headphones if you want me to.
Nah, it's no problem. That's fine.
All right. Sorry. I think I'm in the hot seat this week.
Ooh, as you are. Let me go back to my source.
All right, so I have a question for you, yeah? If a married man gets a complaint from his wife saying he isn't laying the wood down as well as her ex was laying it down.
Yo, this is Brandon Cooper all over again.
This is the series that you're talking about.
Yeah. He's not laying it down.
Not watching it.
No, I haven't watched it. I'm just flipping the question. Like, you're not laying it down as legit as her ex was, and she is being like, she's disappointed about the thing the way it is, and it's got her reminiscing about the way it was. How would you counsel the husband or the relationship in that situation?
Firstly,
let me hear this.
Firstly, I go tell the husband to get a new wife because she is disrespectful. Oh, that's Jezebel spirit right there, bro.
Bro, do you know what? There's space for that still, because is adultery. You could push it down the roots of adultery. I hear that.
No, but it's also firstly, I think that the way that she's worded it is not helpful at all. In no situation should you be comparing your husband to your past partners, especially to them.
Okay.
Because that's basically like bringing a third person into your relationship, even if they're not physically there.
Oh, he's physically there.
I think. I think individual therapy for both of them, plus sex therapy for them together, and maybe therapy for them together as well. So they're paying for 4 therapy sessions a week. If they can't afford therapy, I think one, they need to learn how to communicate things to each other in a way that's not disrespectful, that will not hurt anyone's feelings. The wife needs to learn what it means to respect her husband. That includes not bringing up exes and saying how good the ex was. Because if it was the guy that said it to the woman,
what if she's like, but I'm speaking my truth, I'm living my truth.
What if that is the truth?
I'm being transparent. I'm being vulnerable.
What if that is just the truth?
Just because something is the truth doesn't mean that it needs to be spoken.
So how would you have her intimate this to her husband?
Be like, yo, babe, I know you're trying your best, but can we try and do things this way?
Try harder.
Try harder. Get harder. How about that for a start?
That man's like, get tighter. No, I'm joking.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, what happened with the ex? Keep it with the ex, you know? Because one, husband might not even be comfortable doing the things you did with your ex, you know? You know, he might not feel all right spitting in your mouth and giving you and choking you out and all of that stuff. You know? Maybe he's not that kind of guy.
Maybe he wants to respect his wife.
Yes. Maybe he loves you and cares about you and wants to respect you. See,
doesn't just want to demean you.
Exactly.
And see you as an object, a piece of meat.
Trust me. So, what was I saying? Yeah, the wife needs to learn how to respect her husband. Yeah, but like I said, just because something's the truth doesn't mean that it needs to be spoken, you know? Or if you are going to speak about it in a way that is constructive. You know? So like, let's say your wife's putting on a few pounds. You won't go to her and say, "Oh, babe, you're getting fat." You know, you'd be like, "Hey, you know, yo, babe, how about I cook for us tonight and every night for, you know, a couple weeks, you know? Oh, babe, do you want to go out for a walk? You know, I thought it would be nice if we, you know, sweat a bit together outside. You know, let's go for a little power walk and all of that, you know?
Oh, babe, so I was reading this article about portion sizes. You know, it's got me looking at my plate, looking a bit mad. Like, I feel like I'm eating twice as much as I should be eating. What do you think? How do you think I should reevaluate my portion sizes?
Or be like, yo, babes, I was reading this article on the internet about this guy who's feeling a way about his wife getting bigger. What do you think about this? Whatever way is to get the conversation started. And you know what? And you know what? You need to give them a credit. A lot of the time they know. You just have to wait for them to start the conversation, then you latch onto it. Don't bring it up. Wait for them to bring it up first, and then you latch onto it. Oh, actually, you know, babe, I love you, but you know, I feel like no shade. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked. For the guy, I think that he needs to be reassured of who he is in Christ and not feel like he needs to compare himself to the ex. Wow, sometimes when the pain is deep, we have to go to Christ.
Bro. I don't know yet. If I was in that situation and someone honestly counseled me, you need to be reassured about who you are in Christ, I might slap you.
You need to remember you're fearfully and wonderfully made. Even if you're not made as big as the other guy. You get me?
Yo.
Okay. I did not see that coming.
No, but it's true though. Cause like you have to basically do whatever you have to do so that you don't feel inadequate. If you can't do it yourself, draw on Christ. He'll do it for you. He'll walk you through the process.
In your weakness, you'll be made strong.
Amen.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
And I think, and he has to remember that he has to love his wife like Christ loved the church. And sometimes wives will say mad things, and you just need to be a bit toxic and be like, you know what, I'm the man. Forget what you say.
Excommunicate your wife.
Yeah. But it's a bit messy. But number one, therapy, individual together, sex therapy. That'd be great. Number two, learn how to communicate well with each other. 3, wives, learn how to have respect for your husband. Forget about your ex-lover. There's a reason why you married your husband and not the ex-lover. Remember that. And husband, firm it, and be the bigger person in the situation.
Hey.
And if that doesn't work, cheat, and cheat well.
I can't believe the furnaces gave out that advice.
The furnace didn't. I think it's worth noting that the Robert's thought did not reflect.
You know what? Yeah, if your wife's gonna go and be that disrespectful, you're allowed to cheat.
No, you're not,
bro. I like. Yeah, that's mad though. That would be mad. Wife legit sat you down, looked you in the face, and was just like, "You're just not big enough."
We know what? Yeah, I take that back because the guy's at fault. Because women don't just start saying madness like that. There would have been a trail of madness, and the guy would have seen the trail, married her anyway, knowing she could talk wicked like this. It's your fault. You didn't look for a good wife, and now you're reaping the results of it.
So Connor, all the way left. From be assured of who you are in Christ to this nonsense.
Accept your faults.
To be honest, there's no right answer in the situation, so I need to give every answer.
Cover all bases.
And you guys,
you've given a spectrum.
Pick the one that works best for your truth.
No, but in all truthfulness, in all seriousness, therapy. If you can't afford therapy, go speak to your pastor. That's the free therapy, right?
Do you know what? I've actually heard that a woman took her husband to the pastor after they got married to complain that the husband was too small.
Mad.
Bro.
So they should pray for enlarged territory.
But to be fair, like you be seeing all the time, like people be growing legs in churches, so maybe the pastor can make some girls
grow a third leg.
Come on.
Man says CGI, 3D printing.
Lay your hands. Anyway. Okay. What was that? I was gonna ask a question.
But before you do this, are you happy with the serious part of the
answer?
Are
you satisfied?
Clearly she's not. But do you know what? Yeah, it's a sticky situation. I don't think there's any like direct. Yeah, I slap her, but I don't think there's any like direct answer. But I'm not advocating domestic violence, people. Yeah.
To be honest, if a guy told me this was his wife said, and then he said that he cheated, I'd completely understand. 100%
Why is that solution? Why is that solution though?
He needed to prop up his ego to feel more masculine.
But what if the side piece says the same thing?
Then it's his fault. It's his fault.
You're the fault. Yeah. You're the common denominator.
Both the main squeeze and the side dish you didn't pick correctly.
You know. Okay. You know what? If it doesn't work with second babes, your last choice is prostitution. To pick a prostitute. Because
he's digging.
Because prostitutes are paid to make you feel good about yourself.
Yeah, but is he complaining that he's feeling bad about himself, or is this about solving the woman's problem, or is this about making a man feel better about himself?
The latter.
Is
that what the question was? Rob, Mo.
My question was, in this marital situation, how would you counsel it? But obviously it's for Rob, it's like, yo, my man.
At this point, for your wife to talk to you that way about her ex, the marriage is over. In her mind, she's done.
Crazy.
But you can't say you can't talk to me like that and then tell me that you love me and you want to make this marriage work afterwards.
Fam, imagine that. She says that to you at breakfast, and then lunchtime she's like, "What do you want to eat? Get out of my house."
That is
Cold.
rude. That's disgusting.
Yeah, that question was just banter for me though, so I don't. Yeah, I'm easy with the answer.
Cool. My question was, what verse in the Bible or passage are you currently or has recently sort of given you some sort of encouragement or hope or solved something for you?
Oh, that's a nice little segue.
Trying to sanctify what has become of this podcast.
I don't know if there's a verse in particular. I've been going
or chapter or sermon, anything.
Maybe from the Bible plan I've been reading. I've been going through Bible plan. What it's called? Couldn't tell you. But what?
Pray before you pray.
No, so it was today. It was talking about your. How can I put this? The faith you have in Jesus being the beginning parts of you being able to rebuild your life. It was talking about how the woman who had the issue of blood, she went to everyone and they couldn't help her with her issue of blood. But then all she did was she believed, she touched Jesus' clothing, and then she was healed. And from there, she was able to rebuild her life, and that was a good end to the story. Yeah. Faith in Jesus to rebuild. I've got to find the name of that Bible study. But that was it.
Cool.
How about yourself, Pete?
Cool.
I wouldn't say it solved anything recently, but something that stuck out was when Saul, I think this was after Saul had been told he was no longer king of Israel, and he sent a bunch of peeps to Samuel because David was hiding out there, and he kept sending people, and the Spirit of the Lord kept falling on them. They'd prophesy, and then Saul himself went, and the Spirit of the Lord fell on him, and he was prophesying. And that's where that whole saying of, is even Saul a prophet, sort of came from. But it was this idea of, it didn't seem to matter that they had come with bad intentions. They're being in the presence of someone who was so anointed, they're coming there, and God being there so powerfully, they also started prophesying. And it's, that's, I'm just sort of sitting with that and what that means. So that's been on my head recently, I guess.
Oh.
How about yourself, man?
A couple of things actually. In Acts, so Acts 7, Stephen is stoned. And then Acts 8, Paul goes out to, Paul does a madness, and I think Philip sees the eunuch. But then Acts 9, Paul is converted, and when Paul is converted, they're like, God is like, I will show him what he has to suffer on my behalf. And the thing that really and then Acts 10, Cornelius happens. I think Cornelius happens in Acts 9, but then Acts 10, actually that happens in Acts 10, and then Peter explains it to the Jewish church. And obviously, like, timeline wise, that may have been a couple of days, may have been a couple of weeks, like however long, I don't remember it, but it's just how within the narrative is like just how relentless God seemed to be moving throughout those chapters. And it just really sat with me how in 7 and 8, Saul was like, yo, I'm going after these people. By 9, he's preaching. And he's preaching to the very same people, but then contrasted with Peter, who was already a believer, an apostle, preaching to a Gentile, and then having to justify it to the church. And it's like God has done this amazing work with the Jewish believers, but then he's branching it out to the Gentiles, but they're almost having to justify God's work to God's people. And I'm just kind of sitting with that, where it's just how quickly God is moving in the passages, and how the Jewish believers are almost lacking behind the movement of God, still fighting through, why are you talking to the Gentiles? Why are you doing this? And then fearful of Saul, because they're like, yo, this guy was persecuting us and this and that. And just sitting with this idea or notion of we are almost understanding on the tail end of what God has done. And so being free enough to move in what God is doing, even if we don't currently understand it. Being free enough to move in the spirit, even if we don't rationally or logically understand it. Because that understanding almost comes afterwards. If we follow the conviction, an understanding of it will come on almost reflection or time of sitting in it. That's kind of what I'm sitting on. But the second part that is a lot more practical is when Jesus, the rich young ruler who came to Jesus and was saying, yo, what do I need to do to embrace eternal life? And Jesus was like, fulfill the commandments. It took me back to Sunday with Ade's preach, when he was like, yo, like we almost pursue the infilling of the spirit, the miracles, the signs, the wonders, all of them things. But when it comes to fulfill my commandments, we walk away disheartened. And he's like, left to our own devices, it is impossible for anyone to get into heaven. Firstly, God's law is perfect and we're not perfect. We all fall short. But there is almost a reluctance to live righteously outside of the Holy Spirit. Even with the Holy Spirit, we still can quench the spirit. We can still resist it and stuff. So yeah, I was just really wrestling with that. So both of that, like God is moving, being led by your convictions and stuff, but also, am I really loving God with everything that I have and loving my neighbor as myself, which are his commandments? So yeah, those two things have really been like sitting on me today, particularly.
Cool.
You're muted, bro. You might have muted the mic itself.
Yeah, I did. Sorry, I'm happy.
Cool. All right. So I get the conversation for today. Oh, I know what I want to talk about. Am I on?
Yeah.
Okay, hey.
You weren't reacting. I was like, what's cool?
No, you weren't doing anything worth reacting to.
Anyway, so this Sunday, was it Sunday? Maybe it was Saturday. It was Monday. Met up with a couple of friends from secondary school. Oh gosh, had some good conversations. Talked about back in the day. Good times, good stuff. So one of my boys, he is expecting a child soon. Very nice. I think expecting for June, July. And the last time I spoke to him, I think I spoke to him around December, September, October, November. One of those.
You spoke to him at some point.
I spoke to him. Yeah, I spoke to him about. So he's been with his babes for about a couple years now, and then spoken to him about, are you thinking about, making an honest woman out of your babes, and this was before I knew that she was pregnant. Turns out, even whilst I was having this conversation, she was pregnant, and then I was there. I was here asking him questions like, "Can she this girl being the mother of your children? These times she's going to be the mother of his
She
children."
is.
Yeah. But he is very apprehensive about the whole getting married thing. He's seen or he's heard of lots of examples of marriage not going right, marriages breaking down, girls not being who they say they are, hiding parts of themselves, only to reveal later on down the line. And he's like super, super shook about getting married. Not because of anything that his girl has done, but just because of horror stories that he's heard. And and I've just been talking to him over the past few days, trying to get him to, maybe reconsider. Like he's Ghanaian, so he'll know eventually he'll have to marry this girl that he's impregnated, because that's just that's kind of the family he comes from, But I think for me personally, I'd want him to get married because he wants to, not because there's all this pressure on him to marry this girl that he's gone and impregnated. So do you guys have any advice? Or do you guys have any tips on maybe how I can approach this conversation to put his mind at ease?
First question, is he Christian? Okay.
If he was, I would say not a particularly, and it's not no slander on his character or anything.
Not the most observant Christian.
Yeah, he isn't like practicing devout or whatever you kind of use on it. So he would hold his Christianity very loosely.
Yeah. If well, I guess I don't know how to counsel that, honestly, because outside of it being God's will, the sort of benefits, as it were, that the legal process affords, useful as they might be, they're not all that nowadays. If that makes sense. You do get stuff like you can share tax, and I think if you haven't got a will, then your wife is almost guaranteed certain things. I think, if I remember reading it correctly. So yeah, the civil arrangements does have some benefits, and maybe it's worth looking at that. But yeah, outside of it being God's institution, and it just being, it's a display of this commitment that you have to this person that you are now especially going to raise a kid with, and wanting to provide. Statistically, we're seeing children from hetero two-parent households end up being set up just a little bit better than their counterparts from two-parent homosexual and from single-parent homes. And so, just to give your kid just some of those smaller head starts, if you can, why not? And if this is someone that you can see yourself, not even can see yourself, this is someone that you're going to be raising a kid with, then, be the man and show that commitment to her. Despite what you've heard, despite the horror stories, because there's also, success stories of people that have been together, people that die together.
I told them as well. That's what I told them. Just as there are horror stories close to you, there are also stories of successful marriages happening as well.
Yeah.
So why look at the negative and then kind of just like discard the positive?
Yeah.
Funny enough as well. Yeah, go for it.
Well, I was going to ask another question, so I think maybe Mo, you go first, and then I'll ask my question.
I was going to say, funny enough, the horror stories tend to stand out because of the positive stories. So the stories of Christianity going wrong, unfortunately, is becoming more predominant now, but only stands because of the contrast of what Christianity is meant to stand for. So it stands out even more because of that contrast. And so again, the horror stories of marriage stand out all the more because of the contrast of what marriage is meant to stand for. And I would approach it from different perspectives, in that, yes, bro, marriage does not guarantee a happy life. It does not guarantee things are going to go swimmingly. It doesn't guarantee that one person is not going to cheat. It doesn't guarantee anything. It just proclaims publicly a determination to try to make something work outside of Christianity anyways. But I would argue that the same things he is worried about in getting married still stand true in them just being together.
Yep.
There is no difference there. She can still be hiding elements of herself. I mean, if she hid elements of herself until she's getting married, then bro, right now you don't know them. And so 2 weeks down the line, she can still reveal it. And because she now has your kid, you're in her pocket.
Leverage.
You're in her pocket.
And there's even the argument where if you're scared that she'll cheat once you get married, how do you even know that for sure that this is your child she's even carrying?
How do you even know, bro, she ain't cheated right now?
Yeah.
If you're not assured of that relationship right now. And it's also looking at, okay, cool, yes, marriages do go down the drain, but you're not in them marriages. So you can't compare your partner to them. You need to evaluate your partner's character, your partner's credentials against what she is presenting. You can't compare her to Vicky and whatever. Nah, it don't work. You need to assess her character, and you need to be, if you're content enough to be in a relationship with her and to have kids with her, then clearly there's a certain level of affection. And to be in a relationship for a prolonged period, either a level of affection or a level of laziness that you just don't want to go out and get another girl. You've got one, so you just kind of want to chill there, and that's no basis to continue a relationship. It's selfish. So yeah, I would say the thing that he's worried about is still a possibility whether you're married or not. And arguably, when you're not married, it's going to hurt equally as much, but she can get away with it a lot easier because she hasn't made that commitment. She hasn't really made that public commitment. And also I would also look at it from the kids' perspective. In addition to the stability, in addition to the statistics and stuff, but also I would also add the message you're sending to your child. The message if your child is a daughter, then it's very much just like, yo, any man can come breed you up and keep it moving. Or wait for a guy that values and respects you for you and is willing to commit himself to you for the rest of your life. Yeah. This is how a man ought to treat you. You're a princess, you're a darling, and like don't accept anything less. And if he's a man, if your child is a boy, then it's like, yo, you need to live up to the standard. You need to love. You need to commit yourself. You need to do these things. And it's very much, so it is a case of what message are you sending to your offspring? And have you assessed the character of the person you are dating in the midst of all of the horror stories you've heard? Yes, it is catastrophic when it goes wrong. But it can go right. It all depends on you and your partner and how committed you are to each other. As soon as one person taps out, it's peak. And that is equally true for a relationship that isn't a marriage.
Just a little bit easier.
Yeah.
My sort of follow-up question was going to be, Rob, what would you say is a reason for marriage outside of it being an institution God created? What would your reason be? Or what reason would you give folk to get married that aren't Christian and don't identify with?
To be honest, if you're not Christian, don't really care. You can do what you want. But if let's say that, I guess it could be argued that the world would be a better place if marriage was more important to more people. I think there's a level of respect that comes with marrying someone. A level of respect, there's respect in the sense of, like, by making this commitment, I know that you are serious to this level about me. Potentially, unless it's like an arranged marriage, then boy.
Arguably, arranged marriage, and obviously there are horror stories in every situation, so not all arranged marriages, but with arranged marriages, it's like you didn't fall in love, so there was this notion of, you and you are getting married, so you almost learn to love each other. And so there's not, I loved him, so I got married, but now I'm not in love anymore, so I want to leave. No, bro, you didn't know each other. In the olden days, you lot were cousins. Man. But it's like, you lot didn't know each other. You came together and you learned to love each other. And so even through the difficult times, you can still learn to get over it, get through it and stuff. I think the whole notion of falling in love and getting married is a very recent, and when I say recent, I mean like in the past couple decades, that I started to be like that. Yeah. Centuries, not decades, centuries.
It's not that deep.
Centuries, yeah. Past couple centuries, that's been the case. But before that, it's very much been, whether it's a political marriage or whatever, but it's tended to be an
Couldn't it be argued that Jacob married for love?
That who?
Jacob, you could.
Jacob married for love.
Yeah.
But he also married for, well, he married because he was tricked.
Fam.
And it wasn't light, apparently.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's interesting because I would actually, in terms of if you're not a Christian, I would argue that your commitment to the person is more important than the marital status. But if you are fully committed to the person, then what's preventing you from getting married?
I don't know if I agree with that, you know. I feel like you have to be at a certain, well, unless you're the stupid celebrity, you have to be at a certain level or at a certain level of intimacy with a person before you even consider getting married to them.
Is this as a non-Christian or is this?
No, just in general. Just in general. Like even though like for non-Christians they don't have like the great sense of God, like marriage is still, you are the person I want to spend the rest of my life with, and I want to make that as binding as humanly possible. And
so how is that different from what I said?
No, you said that marriage is almost like a byproduct of that.
Okay. And I was I hear that, and it did come across like that. And arguably, yes, that is the perspective. But mine is from the perspective of thinking through especially from a non-Christian perspective. Now I know that this happens in Christian situations as well, but sometimes marriage can be a means of possession. So one person of the person. No, of the person. So a man will get married to a woman and be like, now you belong to me. You're mine. That also happens in relationships. That also happens in relationships where you get people that are beating up women, buying them phones, camera phones and stuff. And it's like, all right, cool. Wherever you go, I need a picture of it and who you're with, blah, 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 this and that. So that happens whether or not it's in a marriage. And that's why I'm like, your commitment to the person. So that's why I'm emphasizing commitment to the person.
But then doesn't the Bible almost portray that as well, in saying that, you know, your body is no longer yours, it belongs to your wife, and vice versa? So there is that.
Yes, there's a mutuality in that. But when one person sees everything, so like husbands who get married and then essentially just see their wife as, you're going to produce my babies, you're going to cook and clean, like you're just going to be my servant, essentially. And I get to do whatever. If you don't do what I expect you to do, I get to hit you. Like those sort of mentalities, you're not committed to the person, you're committed to yourself. And that person is meant to serve you. Now, obviously, it doesn't always happen from male to female. Sometimes it happens from female to male. So that's why I'm like, you're committed to the other person. Biblically, we would hope that there will be counsel, there will be sanctification, there will be growth, there will be conviction. Well, Google's listening in to something, boy. But that boundary, that those parameters aren't necessarily there outside of Christianity.
I think
that's why I would emphasize
they can still be there.
They're not. Like, I don't believe that they are as explicit.
Yes. So there's not that underpinning of the Bible that there is in non-Christian relationships, but those things that you're talking about, even without the God factor, they just make good sense.
Yes, they do.
If that makes sense. So like, having a good support network around you, you don't have to be a Christian to understand that is a good idea. You don't have to be a Christian to understand that sacrificial love is the best way to get the most out of your relationship. Like even if they are biblical ideas, in the same way that like our society is like has its foundation on Judeo-Christian
Western society. Yeah.
What's it called? Christian
values. Yeah.
And like a non-Christian might find things that a Christian might find disgusting just based on these values, because they're good values, you know, and they might not have the underpinning of God, but because they're good even if you're Christian or not.
Yeah,
and like you don't
agree.
have to be Christian to like reap the benefits of them.
Yeah, like you don't have to be Christian to know that do not murder is a very good thing to live by.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree, and I also agree that both Christians and non-Christians still violate the law of God. And so, and which is unfortunate. And so this almost like picturesque, euphoric sort of marriage image isn't 100% present within Christianity. I think the last I heard, the statistics of the divorce rates are equal in Christianity as well as in outside of Christianity.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
And so we're not any better or any worse. We're the same. We are broken people saved by grace, being sanctified by His Holy Spirit. And so that's why, again, I do really emphasize. I would, if my children came to me and was like, "Oh, Dad, I'm getting married," but I know that their partner's a waste man or gal, I'm gonna be like, "Yo." But if they aren't getting married, but I know that this person is 100% committed to my child, I will view it differently. I'll be more tolerant of them being together. I will still slip it in like, yo, like, are you not going to get married? Like, blah, 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 this and that. But I will feel more content knowing that these two are committed to each other.
But then are you committed to someone if you're not going to marry them?
So I would argue, no, but I would argue then that, and that's where I'm like, if you are committed to each other and if you are wholly for each other, then what's preventing you from being married?
Yeah, I think the West has put a crazy emphasis on the tags of boyfriend and girlfriend. So much so that it's almost seen like as a marriage, you know. And there are like certain benefits that you might give to your boyfriend and girlfriend that should be restricted to marriage, you know. There are people who are distraught at the thought of their boyfriend or girlfriend cheating on them, but you know, like there's nothing binding you two together except for you saying, "I'm going to be your boyfriend, you're going to be my girlfriend." You know, at least you're married. You've made this assertion in front of God, if you believe in it, and even of God in front of your friends, family.
Like it's a legal situation. You've entered into this thing legally. So yeah, like I would, and that's why I would argue. So yes, it does almost sound like a concession or a byproduct of your commitment. But I would argue your commitment comes first.
Yeah.
Be committed to each other, especially in this society of I fell in love and I want to pick the person that I'm with and stuff. If it was a case of, yo, like you're marrying you, then I'll be like, yo, get it together, do the stuff. If one person does that, steps out of line or whatever, let the people of your community kind of come in and help you and deal with it without everyone being up in your relationship and stuff. Have like a circle of people that you can turn to for counsel and blah, blah, blah. But if you have gone out and you have picked your partner, then both of you need to be committed more so to each other than yourself as a default. And then I'm like, all right, why aren't you getting married? If you are committed to each other, why aren't you getting married? Then it's much harder to justify why you aren't getting married. Oh yeah, I don't believe in marriage, but I'm like, but what is the difference if you're wholly committed to each other and you make it legal?
Right.
Like relationships are basically new age marriages. Like the concept of a relationship is like a non-legalized marriage, basically.
And again, I do feel like there's a reality of what is being modeled to the generation.
Yeah.
What is being modeled to them. So, Leia, for example, bro, she turns 8 soon. Because of the household she's being raised in, speech about marriage is not foreign to her. She just sees it as 1 + 1. Like when I grow up and I get married, even the concept of me having a child out of marriage is madness to her. She's like, so wait, were you married before and then got married to mum? I was like, no, I wasn't married. She was like, so how did thingy come? I'm like, oh yeah, because obviously we didn't get into details, but obviously
biology lesson.
You know what I'm saying? A bit too young for that. But just this concept of, okay, this is the natural progression. But that's what's being modeled in the household. If you grew up in a household where dad is walking in and out of the house, blah, 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 whatever, then this concept of, oh, cool, we don't need to do this. My eldest was very anti-marriage initially, and it's understandable. But now that she's been around, I believe now that she's been around me a lot more, now she's, again, warming up to it. And so I do believe what is being modeled, what is being seen, how it's being seen and stuff. And that's what, and that again is what I would almost reiterate to your friend, where it's like, yo, what do you want for your child, and how can you model that? Would you want someone who's committed to her, or would you want him to be committed to someone and someone be committed to him? How can you model that if you're not committed to their parent? How that would be very difficult. You need to be like, oh, you're a princess, you're a darling. Wait for your Prince Charming to come marry you. So why aren't you married to mum? Hypocritical. Be committed, and in that commitment, go all the way, the full 9 yards. Get married. So that would be my sequence of thing, and I think my sequence as well is like that because I would want you to have a healthy marriage, and I believe a healthy marriage comes from two people committed to each other. Even if you're not a believer, if you're committed to your partner and your partner's committed to you, you lot can work through a lot of things. You may need outside help, and that's cool. You're still committed to each other and all of them things there. So yeah, and that's why I'm like, cool, be committed, be married. Rather than be married and get committed. Nah.
Cool.
So you see how Jesus says that believers should be shrewd like the non-believers in the world?
With finances.
Yeah. So just jumping off of that, do you think that there is anything in the way that non-believers conduct their relationships that Christians could glean from to make their relationships better?
Please.
What do you say?
Nothing.
You say threesomes.
Hey. I think one thing that comes to mind, and it might be a caricature, but how ready each partner is to tell the other person what's pissing them off. To be open and real as to like, you do this and it's getting on my nerves, or you do that. And again, I say it's a caricature because any healthy communication will have elements of tension, like whatever's causing tension, without trying to be pliable, or I'm trying to be meek, I'm trying to be humble, I'm trying to be long-suffering, I'm gonna just go pray about it. Sometimes, yes, pray. Sometimes also talk to your partner. So I would say that, but obviously I do believe that there are healthy examples of that in the church, and I believe there are unhealthy examples of that both within the church and outside of the church. I would imagine more so outside of the church, where one person just dominates and just blames the other person for everything, but I also recognize that that's in the church. Outside of that, I don't think there would be anything much to glean, but I'll let Peter speak before I continue. You muted yourself. Man locked off. Yeah, he has left the cop. I'll be right back.
Cool. Let me think.
Yeah, I would say I think the shrewdness is specifically with money, and it's specifically with almost buy friends with your money. And it's not necessarily buy friends, but it's like be very generous with your money, knowing that when it runs out, your generosity will open doors for you when you had it. That's the shrewdness there. Obviously, the money wasn't the manager's money, it was the owner's money, but he was shrewd he was being generous but shrewd in order to gain favors when he didn't have a job. But I would argue that we have a model for marriage in the Bible, and we have sufficient information in the Bible, sufficient revelation, sufficient insight in the Bible that will take us a lifetime to unearth and uncover, that we don't necessarily need to look to unbelievers. Now, they may be modeling certain things better than we are, and definitely not closing ourselves off to that, but not necessarily looking to unbelievers to say, what can I learn? But if something stands out, then by all means, learn, be open. As Solomon, if Solomon is able to learn from an ant, then bro, like, we can learn from anything.
I think I would say vibrators.
Hey, bro.
Sex toys in general, to be honest.
Yeah,
Because
to be fair,
because some of these things be wild. So maybe don't go that far on the spectrum.
yeah. 50 Shades and a little. You man got a basement with a metal bed frame and that, bare handcuffs and whips and thorns and stuff.
We went to, was it Ann Summers? No, Harmony. That shop there, bro.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, some crazy. How can they have like the latex mask? Nothing, only 2 nostril holes, and that's it.
Raw.
I was like, that's scary.
Not even a mouth.
No mouth. Just
that's
2 nostril holes. That's
mad.
it. And then
imagine the nostril holes don't line up.
Oh, then
it's long for you.
And then they had like this. They had this like mouth opening thing that you keep your mouth open so you can't close your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
bro. Yeah, that. Do you know what? Yeah,
create some interesting stuff, bro.
I was watching The First Girl with a Dragon Tattoo.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
No.
Sorry, fellas. Real life. Zara.
That's all good, man.
Zara's getting out of bed. Had to go and put her down.
Had to get chokeslammed.
Yeah. Did you guys stay on topic or?
Yeah. We stayed on topic. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
No. Hold on. More telling the story.
Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah. So, Girl with a Dragon Tattoo. I'm not sure if you've seen it, Peter.
Which one? The Swedish one or the one with Daniel Craig?
The Swedish one.
No, I haven't seen it.
So,
I know the story though. Yeah.
Bro, I couldn't finish that film. The girl who's this hacker type, blah blah blah, this and that, was trying to get some information from this guy. So the guy was like, "Come over to my house, I'll give you the information." The girl comes into the house. All she sees, handcuffs clipped to her hands, clipped onto the bed. The guy is going ham. We're talking about like when sex toys and stuff go left. The guy starts going ham. And I was just like, yo, what is this? I think at one point she had like a razor in her mouth and she uses it to like just slice up the guy and that, yeah? And I was like, good, you got what you deserved. But yeah, sometimes these things just do go on a madness. So yeah, I wouldn't, but Peter, your time.
So my last thing I remember was we were talking about things that maybe Christians can learn from secular relationships, sort of thing. And interestingly, my point was before I was going to grab Z was that sort of freedom of communication, or actually rather, I think I should word it, the whole idea of sex not being taboo. And I guess that's been a symptom of sort of purity culture and some of those things that the church has been guilty of.
So maybe you could say it's freedom of communication.
Hey, all over the place.
Yeah, so that idea, I guess, was going to be my contribution.
And yeah, I definitely agree with in the freedom and the liberty without seeing it as no. Just enjoy the wife of your youth. That's Drink right. Deeply from the cistern. Yeah? Don't let someone judge the way you're drinking.
I'm also
what you're
side
drinking.
Note. Okay. Side note, I'm also getting more and more convinced that fellow Christians should be getting married much younger.
Yeah, same.
We had this conversation sometime. I feel like
I think
It's
we
come up in
touched on it the
passing.
last the last
but
episode, but
The more
I
I
am
think
in
about
agreement.
it, yeah, I'm thinking that
I am in agreement. I feel like
getting
when
married
you
and-
don't get married young, there is a lot more scope. Oh, let me find myself. Let me explore. Let me do this. By the time you realize, I shall.
But I think the problem is that the maturity levels and the ideas of what marriage or relationship should be don't be coming to the youth.
It's overrated. It's overrated, I think. The whole idea of maturity and all of that, I think, is overrated because you're going to grow together. And I think yes, yeah. I think what's more
the warfare
important
is 50% for a reason.
Yeah, I think what's more important is imputing this idea of the marriage being holy, but the marriage also being this step in which it's not an end, as it were, but it's the start of a new story where now you guys are growing together, and you're building together. An idea, and this of course is a recommendation for the church rather than for anywhere else. But yeah,
I would also say, along with that, the infrastructure to support that, because biblically there was a wider infrastructure, a family unit, a community that supported it. So, like children growing up in married households, obviously not everyone has the privilege of that, unfortunately. But growing up in households where commitment and love and these things are really treasured, and a godly example of that is seen, even if your mum or dad isn't necessarily married, but you're around solid marriages and stuff, and you know that, if I get married, there is a community of people who will hold us accountable, that we can turn to learn, where we can we can glean from, who will walk with us. Because even isn't it Timothy where Paul's like, married women teach the younger ones, married men teach the younger ones in the way that they need to go and stuff. So there is this community of just learning and growing and developing and sharing. So I do feel like it will solve a lot of issues. It will come with its own issues, but they can be overcome with the right structure in place and the right support.
Emphasis on come.
Oh gosh, let's round this thing off.
Anyway, let's round up.
10 deep.
I'll go first for the hookups. So as you can see from my highlight night action, I want to recommend the Netflix series, The Night Agent. I've heard good things. I'm only 2 episodes in, and it actually looks really good.
Can it be Peter's actually watching the series and not reading the synopsis?
Like that.
Yeah, to be fair, I had a long journey today, so that's what I do on long journeys. So I might give up and then watch a recap at some point, to be completely honest. But it's looking cool so far. It's an interesting take. So, The Night Agent on Netflix. Check it out.
Sweet.
That's me.
What's my hookup? Oh, and I got a book. The Alchemist by what's his name? Paulo Coelho. Yeah, that one. The Alchemist, sick book.
Cool.
That right there, The Alchemist on Audible. Yo, it's 4 hours deep, yeah? I've read that book like 7 times. Sick.
Okay, my hookup is a board game to be played between people in a committed relationship.
Lovers and friends.
Yeah, it's called Monogamy. Oh no, the game is actually called Monogamy. And it's like a board game to help build intimacy. There are like challenges, and then if you win, you get to do or have someone do a challenge on you, and it starts so slow and it gets a bit
Why are you
spicy.
playing these games with other people?
I said for you and your intimate other.
You said play. Oh, as in the two of you.
Committed, yeah, they're committed.
Okay, it sounded like playing the game with other couples.
No, just you and your spouse.
He is on some swinging vibe, you know.
No, I'm concerned that Robert is.
Nah, that's long. That is long.
Especially if he's long. But yeah. I've actually got brain freeze, Robert. Please remind me on Sunday to bring it.
You got brain freeze.
Yeah.
Did I give it to you?
You gave it to me, but I forgot to put it into the bag and return it. I got the card.
Oh, is that not? Is that? Okay, that makes sense because I put something else in the cup and I even forgot about that one. Anyway, brain freeze, great game. Hey, brain freeze. Pew, 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 pew.
So yeah, just remind me on Sunday.
I'm gonna forget.
Keep on saying, yo, I need to take, and I keep forgetting.
Cool. Let's finish this off. Shout out Reach for intro outro music. Calvin turned the audio
Yeah.
days ago.
Come on.
At Defense UK. Instagram.
Yeah, boy.
Email tbsfurnace@hotmail.com. You can find us at soundcloud.com/Blacksmith Furnace no apostrophe on all good podcast websites and apps. Blacksmith Furnace apostrophe. And that's it. So this is the Blacksmith Furnace signing out.